Well, hey, friends, it's the middle of summer and we have so much going on. So much so that I decided to take my own summer break for the next couple of weeks. Instead of bringing you new content, I'm bringing back a handful of my most listened to episodes. But don't worry, I'm working on new interviews that will come out at the end of this month as well as into August. So, before we dive into this encore episode with Dr. Lisa Lovelace, be sure to sign up for a free NBCC continuing education contact hour. Just head over to my site, which is lisamustard.com, enter your email, and you'll be emailed a coupon code that gets you one free contact hour. You'll then head back over to my site, click on the pod course tab, and you can choose from any of the 9 pod courses that are on the site. When you register and sign up, you'll type in that coupon code, and guess what? You now have a free contact hour waiting for you once you complete the course. Any questions? Holler at me. I'm here to help you guys. Okay, one more thing. If you are a group practice owner and you want to offer continuing education for your employees or independent contractors, let's chat. I'm offering continuing education course creation services that can address your practice's specific niche and needs. So send me an email at hello@lisamustard.com so we can chat about what I offer and how I can help you. Okay, about this encore episode. So, have you thought about creating a group therapy practice, or what about an online group practice? If so, then I think you'll really enjoy this episode. It originally came out in 2020, but the information shared is still relevant today. So, Dr. Lisa Lovelace shares how she got started with an online group therapy practice, what her practice looks like, and how she now helps others create and grow their own online group therapy practices. So we hope you enjoy this encore episode. Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Lisa Lovelace is the founder and owner of Synergy eTherapy, which is an online mental health counseling website where you can choose from one of their highly skilled, independent mental health and addiction therapists who offer high-quality, professional counseling on the go, on your time. Lisa had an idea for an online practice back in 2012 and decided to just go for it. She is a pioneer in the online practice world, and on today's episode, she shares how she got started, resources for getting going with online therapy, the pros and cons of online therapy, and tips for marketing your practice. Be sure to connect with Lisa if you want to learn more about her online practice. We hope you enjoy this episode. Hey friend, want to be more comfortable while sitting on the therapy couch? I sure did, and went looking for pants and tops that were soft, wrinkle resistant, and would match just about anything I already had in my closet. And now Zaya Active makes up about 80% of my wardrobe. Would you like to learn more? Head over to my site, lisamustard.com, and click on the activewear tab. And don't think this is just for women. They have men's and kids' clothes too, and our family is loving the quality, and I am loving the price tags. So head over to my site to check it all out. So hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and today I have another Lisa on the podcast. Her name is Dr. Lisa Lovelace, and I am going to hand it over to her and let her tell you a little bit about who she is and what she does. So welcome to the show. I'm going to call you Dr. Lisa, if that's okay. I think that's
That is perfect. You can call me Lisa too, but that is what I tell the kids to call me, so it's a lot easier. Thanks for having me. I am so happy to be here and love being able to talk with like-minded entrepreneurial women about what we're doing in the field. And Synergy eTherapy is something that I started as a group, I'd say about 3 years ago now. And it's a group practice that is all online. So we are all independent contractors doing our thing in the state where we live. So it's multi-state, and we have lots of different expertise and different like therapists and psychologists, and everybody's got different degrees and different experience. And we all kind of come together and do what we love doing by giving increased access to the people all around us in our entire state or states that we're licensed. So it is an independent group practice, I guess is how you would put it. It's kind of a novel idea. It's a little bit of a hybrid of sorts. And I think for a lot of people, they don't really know what it is about until we get talking about it.
Yeah. And I think that's what really had me drawn to you was, we met on Facebook, I'm pretty sure, in some group.
We did.
And then when you shared with me what it is that you do, I was fascinated because I think this is such a really cool model. How did you decide to go in this direction? Like, how did this idea come to you?
Yeah, it's a great question. And this was definitely not something that I thought of. Now in the Facebook groups, there's so many people learning what everyone else is doing. Mm-hmm. So you can certainly just be like, hey, I want to expand and make a group. That was not what happened for me. Uh-huh. I was doing online work since about 2012 or so. I was licensed in New York and I moved back to my hometown in Minnesota. And I'm like, well, I don't want to give up that license. I, took the exam and I paid the money. So how can I keep my license and still work and use that for New York? And I was doing my own stuff a long, long time ago, learning and growing along the way. And when I moved back to Minnesota, I got a clinic job. And I also was working at the university doing research for teens in substance use. And one of my colleagues, Andrea, she came to me as like, hey, I'm going back to get my license in marriage and family therapy because she was doing research for so long. And she's like, I want to do what you're doing. I don't want an office. I don't want to pay for that. I only want like a handful of clients at the time. And she's like, so can you just teach me how you're doing online? And I thought about it. I'm like, we work so well together. And hey, how about I just like expand and create this like little group and see what happens. And at the time, she was like, great. And she was with me as one other of my old supervisees that I trained a little bit in New York was in Minnesota too. And I'm like, hey, you guys, let's just do this group and see what happens. And they were super game for it. Mm-hmm. And that's where Synergy eTherapy was born. And I completely rebranded, new website, new logo, new name, because it was just Dr. Lisa eTherapy before then. Mm-hmm. And like it took on this entirely new world and I knew nothing about it. I dove in kind of head first, which is super fun and super scary at the same time. And it's been now 3 years. I just sent out my third contract to my, very first founders, I guess you could say, that were with me when I started. And so it feels like way longer than 3 years because we've grown so much over the last few years, just with like how many clinicians we have and our revenue and our workflow and like the expertise and stuff. So yeah, it's been totally random journey.
Well, I think that's what makes your story even like better or richer is that you just had this idea, you got really excited about it and you wanted to work smarter, not harder. And I just love how you took an idea and just dove in and probably learned a lot along the way, had some, obstacles and challenges and maybe even some things that you might deem failures. But I know there's a lot of folks out there, me being one of them, who's always looking for ways to work smarter and harder and work from the comfort of my home. And like, where you are right now is doing that. Like, this is so neat. Where would somebody start? Like if somebody came to you and said, okay, Lisa, I want to do this too. Yeah. What do you recommend that they do to begin?
Yeah. And a lot of people have, found my name in the different Facebook groups or our Synergy Facebook group or on LinkedIn even. Mm-hmm. People are seeing that, I proudly feel like I was a pioneer in the online group practice world. Mm-hmm. I know that there's a lot of other group practice owners now, aside from like some of the bigger hubs, that are out there, with like a gazillion dollars in marketing and they have venture capitalists and they're just like any licensed clinician can come on board.
Pretty much.
That is a very different setup. Mm-hmm. Mine is very much like an independent group practice where I am vetting people out if I don't know them, but usually they're people that I know, or somebody knows somebody else, or there's, people I've seen in Facebook groups or whatever, they're finding me. And a lot of them are asking number one, they're asking, how do you start online? Mm-hmm. And then number two, if they're already online, and they love how it's flowing, or they feel like it's a great concept and they want to have a group, then they're like, how do I create a group practice? Okay. So I have created a Facebook page that is called How to Build an Online Therapy Group Practice. So anybody can join, it's free. And we're just bantering and talking about ideas and just building a network that way. But a lot of people do want consultation with me of like, what do I do first? What do I need to think about? And there's so much that I learned on my own that through formal consultation, I'm happy to kind of help other people walk through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that aspect of like how to build an online group, but then how to just start online. There's so much out there right now about how to do that. I typically don't help people build their own individual online practice.
Mm-hmm.
I usually will say, well, if you want to join a group where everything is already done for you,
mm-hmm.
and it's still your own independent practice, then join Synergy eTherapy, right? But there are places like the Zur Institute has a lot of great CEUs. There's like a 26 CEU course on online work.
Mm-hmm.
Person-centered tech is another reference that I like to give out. They often have free and paid for courses or CEUs or just a lot of great information. And there's a lot of Facebook pages too that are geared around online therapy or telemental health therapy
mm-hmm.
that you can join. And there's a lot of free and paid courses out there too. So I think now it's like, if this was now when I started in 2012, which is not that long ago, but in like 8 years, it has just exponentially taken off where I had no clue where to go. I didn't have a lot of people doing it. This was something that was very novel. I was using like Skype, like super not HIPAA compliant, but don't tell anybody back then. Luckily, knock on wood, like I didn't know because nobody knew. But now that we have this whole world out there that's all about like how to do it. So, I'm helping people by giving them a private practice. Like I'm handing them a private practice that's all online, kind of like on a platter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to be able to do that. So, people can reach out to me anytime and I'll kind of point them in the right direction.
Yeah, I think this is just, I can only imagine in 2012 what was out there because
nothing.
Even in like, what are we, 2020? So like even 2016, it was still starting. It wasn't like it is now. And it's only going to get bigger and bigger.
Exploding. You can see all of the telemedicine companies coming out. You can see all these new EAP telehealth companies. Look at what Amazon is now going to do with their Amazon Prime members. They're doing like a telemedicine thing on their own. Yeah, it's a brand new article that came out the other day. I mean, it's like catching on like wildfire. So, it's definitely where people are now going to know, instead of like searching for in person, the consumers are going to be more aware that they can also do telemental health. Yes. It's just becoming a thing.
Yeah. And, we therapists as a whole are we take our time adapting to things. And
very much.
I did an interview a few months ago with an amazing master therapist. And I asked him, would you ever do telemental health? And he was like, heck no. Like it doesn't even comprehend for him, and I was like, well, things are changing, they're shifting. Yeah. And I share this a good bit. Like when I go to mental health conferences, I look around the room and it's millennials that are in the room now, we Gen Xers. Well, that's what I am, where it's like kind of like here in the middle. And I feel like I'm looking both ways.
Yeah.
Millennials are on their phones and they are learning on their phones and they want to so it really is just this huge shift, and which is wonderful that we can help so many and we can impact, but we have to stay ethical and we have to stay compliant with laws. And so it's evolving almost faster than our boards are wanting to keep up, I think. That's how I feel.
Yes. And with psychology, they did start something called PsyPact, PSYPACT.
Mm-hmm.
And states are now legislating and trying to get into PsyPact and talk to their, board of psychology of like, you can now go to ASPBB or whatever that one is called for psychology and put in a fee and give them your transcripts and whatever, it's like storing all your stuff. And then if you're in one of the states that's now part of the PsyPact, you then can see anyone that's in all other states of the PsyPact for telehealth.
That's exciting.
It's super exciting. Yeah. It's right now just for psychologists. And like, look at Florida. They just opened up in July for a registry. Mm-hmm. So now it takes like not even a week or two, and you can pay your money and have somebody be your registered agent, and you can be from outside of Florida and now see someone that is living in Florida through telehealth.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
So it's catching on. So whether we like it or not is up to you. Like, is there a difference between sitting with somebody in person and sitting with somebody online? Of course, there's a different energy. At the same time, you have to look at like, what is it we're doing in our country? The suicide rates are skyrocketing. Minnesota is up 40% suicides in the last like 6 years. So if I can reach somebody and 3 or 6 hours away from me because they don't have very many resources, like how is that bad? So yeah, is it ideal that maybe we're on a phone call or like Zoom or, you know, face to face on electronics? I love it. A lot of our clients clearly love it. So it's the pros outweigh the cons of it, you know, a glitchy session or something like that with technology. But they're getting access to healthcare. We don't need to physically touch our patients like medical doctors do. So we really can have all of the training and the skills and everything be very similar. And reach more people so that we can kind of curb this epidemic of mental health crises that are everywhere.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that because I agree. And a couple years ago, I kind of felt like I was like this outside of my peer group of saying, this is the future, you guys, and we have to start paying attention to it. And it was like, yeah, whatever. No, it's not how I was trained. It's not the model I work in. And I'm like, well, all right. I mean, so I see kind of like both sides of it where there's pros and the cons. And you're right. Like if a glitchy tech session is, I mean, that's the worst that can happen, but you're reaching somebody and you're helping them with coping skills, or you're there when they need you. It's pretty.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah.
It is. Okay, so I want to go back to your group practice because I'm just fascinated by this model because it almost reminds me of it's like you took a brick and mortar group practice and you just upplanted it and put it on the internet. Okay, how do you find your clinicians? I know you said you vet them. Are you currently hiring? Like, are you looking for clinicians to come join your practice?
We're always looking. I don't have to find them. And I say that with a humbled feeling. They find me. I get a good handful each month of applicants.
Awesome.
And I've learned how to convey without taking more of their time or more of my time. I've learned how to convey to them in an email, and lately I created a video too, so they can watch it and be like, this is what Synergy e-therapy is. Because some people certainly are going to think like, we've got thousands of patients waiting, kind of like some of those bigger hubs. And I'm like, that's not it. It's not just a platform where I've kind of taken a piecemeal of this and this and this, put it all together and created a workflow. But it's also like a companionship, a coaching, mentorship kind of thing where I'm helping say like, okay, here's everything. I'm giving you every app you need. I'm paying for it. You know, I'm doing everything on my end. I'm going to teach you how this goes if they've never done online. And then, great, what do we do first now that you're onboarded? Okay, we need to do this. Okay, give me that. Okay, we need to do this. Go here and go do that. So it's like kind of like step by step of like, here's what you should do. And I'm coaching them on that. So if they're in a new state that we haven't yet been in, we're starting from the ground up. So I'm very honest and realistic of like, I don't have people coming from Oklahoma. Like, we're not in Oklahoma, right? If you join and we're in Minnesota, I'm going to have a lot of people that probably can come to you. Or you'll get in the round robin, you know, or whatever. But if we're not yet in that state, we're starting from the ground up, from our website landing pages to the SEO to broadcasting Synergy e-therapy for the new clinician in their state. But we're doing it together. And I think people really feel supported that way of like, I don't need to build my own website and pay for it. I don't need my own, you know, policy privacy team that I have. And so everything that I've built and paid for, like I pay for SEO, I pay for all these things. They're paying for it in a sense, but not like thousands of dollars up front that I'm usually shelling out. So they are coming in with a brand new business and I'm helping them to build it, but it's only as good as them. Like you still have to get out there and, you know, market, and I help you to do that. I can't be you, but it's not like one of those companies where you make $20 a session, but you don't have to do anything. And that's still fine too for a lot of people who want to get their feet wet. I'm not knocking it.
Right.
Just do it ethically because you're still responsible for yourself as a clinician. So you got to learn that stuff. But I am basically saying, like, you can have whatever fee you want. You want to charge $300? Great. You want to charge $100? Great. And then here's how you do it. So it's like I'm helping them build their own within the group. And we also offer, or we have once a month with the team, like a virtual Zoom call, and we do consultation and we talk about things. And so you're not alone. Mm-hmm. So I'm always taking on new people, but I would say if I get like 10 or 20 applications, maybe one of those people will kind of go through the whole step process that I have, because it really takes a certain desire to run your own business, not just to join something else that's not going to give you maybe the greatest amount of money or autonomy even, but it's your business. So it's going to take 1 to 3 years to build.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's so wise. Like, you are just telling us how it is. This is what you can expect. It's work. But at the same time, you're not paying, like, I get it. It is a group practice. So you have the overhead that you take out of the fee.
Exactly.
But you're also saying to the therapist, you can charge whatever you want. We're just going to take this little cut. Yep. You get the SEO, you get the website, you get some marketing help.
Yep.
I'm guessing you give them the platform, or like
that I pay for everything they need.
Oh, wow. Man.
Yeah, it's like a dream come true.
Yeah, I'm like, sign me up. Let me come talk. No.
I know. And you could, you're an independent clinician. So like you want to see 5 clients in a month, see 5.
Yeah.
You want to really work hard and try to be part-time or full-time. Mm-hmm. We just also started dabbling in insurance. I always am like biting my nails when I say that, because it's still such a work in progress, but my South Carolina and Georgia are now in network with Cigna. Mm-hmm. So we are seeing kind of how that works and what that looks like, I guess, with clients and how we do billing and all that stuff. So far, so good. But we've only had we just got on the panel. So we have had like one where I'm like, oh boy. And so I went and got help. So like my role is, if I don't know something, I'm going to go find the expert that does. Mm-hmm. Just like if somebody wants to know how to do an online group, like I hope I'm somewhat expert in it because I've done it from the ground up. I don't know how to I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you those things. I'm not an accountant, so I can't tell you those things, but I can tell you, go talk to a lawyer about that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they'll come to me. Yeah. So Kim Tolson is, Kim. Yeah. Mm. So I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go. I gotta go take her course. So I bought her course. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. We're all private pay. We just started dabbling in it to see what it would look like. And I literally had less than zero information on billing and insurance. I didn't even know what copay, deductible, co-insurance. And I still I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like all this stuff, right? And so I go and figure it out. And then I create the workflow. And then I luckily have some kick butt clinicians who are not just my independent clinicians. Like, they become my friends. We have a trusting working relationship for years. And I'm like, okay, you're my guinea pig. I don't know what we're doing, but just bear with me. And she's like, got you. Yeah. And we're super honest about things and super helpful with each other. And we're texting or, sending messages or whatever. And it's this partnership that I thrive on. And so when I take on new clinicians, I want them to fit into the culture of that, of this is a group family, and we're pretty real. We're pretty honest. We're very easygoing people. We're all super motivated and excited. So gotta kind of fit that.
Right.
And people weed in and out as they fit or don't fit. And I've gotten, I think, smarter. I don't know if that's the right word, but more narrowed down on how to vet people out to make sure that they're going to fit this kind of mold. Because it is so much time and effort for me to bring on somebody that you can't come on and be like, oh, I didn't get a client in a month, so I'm going to leave.
Right.
No. It's such a big thing that happens. And so, we're always hiring, I guess you could say. We're in any state that you are, if you want to do this in a group.
That's so cool. Lisa, I'm I just love this model. And you have so much energy for it. It gives me so much energy. So I can only imagine your colleagues or the group, the therapists that you have working for you, if this is the culture, like you are the culture and you have set
Yeah.
it up for how you want to work. And I just love it. I think it's just,
Thank you.
I'm just so smart. So if folks want to learn more about your practice, where should they go?
Yeah. So you can go to the website, synergyetherapy.com,
Mhm.
cruise around and just take a look and click on different therapists, and you can see all the states that we're located in. I do have a join our team tab under the contact us area.
Mhm.
So if you do want to join, just send your resume and a cover letter. Let me know a little about you. I'll send you some information back and go from there. And then there's a series of like interviews and stuff that happen, a phone call, and then I check references if I don't know you, and then a video call, and like every step of the way, I'm spending a lot of time investing just in vetting if I don't know somebody to really ensure that they get this. They get what it is, and this is really like their own business. So you can do it that way. You can also shoot me an email, Dr. Lisa, it's just DRLISA at synergyetherapy.com. And I think, yeah, we're on Facebook, so follow us. You can just see what we're doing on Facebook at the little at synergyetherapy.com. Try to do Instagram a little bit. I am horrible at Twitter. I don't think I've been on there since like 1912. But
I don't know. I have a Twitter account, but I'm like, one more thing.
I
I just can't get
don't
into
know
it.
what to do with Twitter.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you about your marketing, because a lot of therapists, that's like what they want. They want to learn how to do the social media, online marketing. So you've been great at it. First of all, don't you have a course too? Do y'all do a course? Okay.
Yeah, we did. We started a beta course with a telehealth marketer, you guys. Her name's Elizabeth, and she's got way more energy than I do. She's like, I'm the redheaded Italian, so she's fiery. And she can keep talking for like 10 hours about telehealth and marketing. So she's worked for like Amwell and Teladoc, and she's created, the back end. And we teamed up and we did a beta course last November, and we're probably going to do this again in November of likely October, November of this upcoming year. We found that that's a really good time to do it. And that is a course to really understand like who you are, understanding your target market, understanding how, you can kind of get into the different parts of the funnel, B2B, B2C, meaning business to business or business to consumer. And we don't like dive into like, this is how you write an email. Right. Or, we feel like there's a gazillion ways for somebody to market, and it's all based on the front end of who they are and what their niche is. So we're doing a ton of work that way, and it's very interactive. It's we're hopping on the course together. We do office hours in Facebook. We record things so you can, get it later if you couldn't join or you have a sick kid or something. So the marketing course will be happening. So look for that. And a lot of us are group practice owners or online practice owners. But if you're in person too, you can do it. We kind of gear it towards the online world, but it's just as good for in person. And so we have that. And then the other Facebook group that I have is how to build an online therapy practice. So you can Google that and join. That's just a free group with a bunch of people who want to maybe either already are or want to maybe one day build an online group practice. So you can join that. And oh my goodness, I don't know what else there is that people can join.
Well, when you think about that question when therapists, because I see it in all the groups, like, how do I get more clients? How do I market myself? How do I get more exposure? What do you do for Synergy that helps you find the clients? Like, what do you guys do?
Yeah. So when somebody comes on board, I really try to help them narrow down like who they are, who they want to see. It doesn't mean they have to limit people if they come to them, but we have to know who we're speaking to, and we got to really understand like who's paying for the services. So if you're seeing kids, are you going to market to kids or are you going to market to parents?
Right.
So really trying to understand who they are. So I do a lot of some of the marketing stuff just individually. And then I have a series of steps. It's like, this is what we do first, so you can see on my bio page, we have videos for everybody. Are they like the most amazing videos ever? Probably not. But you know what? People just want to see like, who's my therapist going to be? Like, who are they?
Right.
What do they sound like? What do they talk? How do they talk? Right. People want to be connected. So you don't have to be like having some perfect video. They just want to see you're like an actual human being.
Right.
And then there's obviously like getting on the directory. So there's like a series of steps that we do, but I help them walk through it. And then there's more of the ingrained things. it really, really depends on who you want to see. Like, who is, who are you and who do you work well with and who's going to pay your bills? Right. So, and then like, where do those people live? What do they do? How do they breathe? Like, who is it that we're going after here? And this was like for me too, when I first started doing the marketing aspect of like, ooh, like, I don't know how to do this. And luckily, like, my sweet husband does marketing and sales, and he's like a VP and, partner at this company or whatever. And it's like, he knows how to do it. So I get a little bit of that insight, and then teaming up with other people who have done it. So I've learned a lot, but you can't do anything until you know who you're speaking to.
Right.
And then when you can speak somebody's language, they're going to be like, oh my God, you got me. And so we have a whole, like, I guess you could call it a diversified portfolio where it's like, I have an SEO company doing SEO and different landing pages and different links. I have an intern doing a ton of like help a reporter out and helping me with writing and blog writing that's geared towards certain expertise. I mean, I have certain things on the website that will help rank higher, Google My Business page and trying to get each one in each state. Like, there's so many things to do,
right?
But you can't throw spaghetti and do all of them as an independent clinician. So you try to find the 2 to 3 things that might filter a funnel with people coming in at different stages, and then just really focusing in on that.
Yeah.
And so when people get frustrated, like their virtual doors maybe have been open for a month or 2 or 3, even if we were selling shoes, like, you would still maybe not have any sales, or maybe you'd have 3 sales or 5 sales, but not a full caseload, at like doors open. And I think sometimes there's this feeling of like, what's the magic bullet, or what's the thing that really I'm missing that needs to happen? And honestly, it's time.
Yeah.
It's a plan, and it's narrowing down what you need to do. It's not doing one of like a million things. And then luckily we do have some partnerships with other companies.
Yeah, that's so wise. And I love what you just shared, because that's marketing. Like, nothing happens overnight, and you have to give it time, and you have to stay focused, and you have to be consistent, and you can't think, well, since it's not working as quickly as I thought, we should shift directions. It just takes time. I mean, I'm learning that.
It really does. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of positivity. It takes a little bit of money. So, when people are starting out, I feel like my heart kind of bleeds for them if I see on a Facebook group or something where it's like, it's been 2 months and I haven't really had a call. And then like someone else down the way is like, well, I've been open for 2 months and I have 46 people. And it's like, oh, no, like, don't do that.
Yeah, right. Don't
You're
compare
an anomaly,
yourself.
Clearly.
Yeah, like, don't compare yourself to other people and their journeys, because you'll just make yourself crazy. You can't do that to yourself. This has been such an amazing interview. I love what you're doing. I just love your energy for this work. So I want to encourage folks, if this sounds like something that you're interested in, they should go to your website and check it out. One more question about it. Will you take therapists who want to do coaching?
You know what? I haven't yet. I have Synergy eTherapy as a licensed clinician, but I have had somebody who is an occupational therapist that does a lot of mental health, and she was wanting to join in some capacity. And I have a lot of trouble figuring out how to fit that in. I do have some medication people, but they're obviously licensed nurse practitioners or whatever that are working with us. But the one thing that I do have that's coming on board that's super cool is a yoga instructor out of Maryland that I connected up with. And so we're going to kind of try this e-yoga. And she's going to be in my group. So it's not that I certainly love the idea of like a wellness clinic that's online, like, getting lots of things. I'm just not sure. To me, I don't know that I understand coaching enough with the rules and the regulations and laws and how that would look. So right now I'm just staying with like a licensed therapy clinic. Because to me, that feels like such a different realm, and I'm not sure how to have informed consent with that. And, we all use the same informed consent. So it's just for clinicians, but you can be social worker, professional counselor, marriage, family therapist. We've had lately too, some people that are like, would you take an intern? Would you take a postdoc? Would you take somebody who's going towards licensure?
Wow.
And I'm totally open to that as long as we figure out like, what needs to happen in your school or your state with it. And like, if one of us could do it and be a supervisor, because I used to supervise all the time in New York when I worked there. So I love the idea of like having that open space. So I'm always open to new ideas. I just got to figure out how it would fit.
Yeah. I can definitely tell that about you. That's really cool that you're so open. So thank you so much for coming onto the show and sharing all your good stuff. And we'll link everything in the show notes so people can find you. They can join your group. They can get more Dr. Lisa in their lives. So thank you. This has been so great.
I love being on this podcast. So it's so amazing. Thank you for all you're doing, spreading the podcast joy. I love that.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.